Hey, Gaybros Blake.
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
Where are we today?
I'm in San Francisco. Where are you?
I'm in Chicago. And I would say like freezing my ass off because it's I don't know, a bit fresh. It's a bit like chilly, in real units it's like -10 degrees. So Celsius, as you know. But if you go to Fahrenheit, it actually feels like 6. That's the thermic feeling.
I can empathize. It's been super cold here. It's been like in the mid-50s.
Oh god, this is terrible.
So
No, I have to say, like, the heater on this apartment is so intense that I close all my radiators.
Wow, you are on the top floor. That helps.
Yeah. So it's like all the heat from below is like just accumulating here, and I was like just sweating directly. While outside it was like literally 15 degrees, 15 Fahrenheit degrees.
Better than being cold, I guess. You can always open a window, turn on those air conditioning units.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I did. I closed the radiators. Like, yeah, we're done. We're done with this heat. I bought an humidifier because I was feeling, like the tongue of a cat, how dry it is, like that. I just felt like a cat actually spent like the whole night licking my face about like how dry everything was.
That's quite an image you painted there.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that's the worst part of the cold, by far. It's like just going out. It's like I don't care too much about it. It's the worst parts are actually like just sliding over ice and breaking your hip, and the dryness everywhere.
There's still time for a polar vortex. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
You're a friend. You're truly a friend. But leaving the weather, I mean, on the side aside, is that I had a feeling that we're becoming like pretty British because we're starting to talk about the weather every single day.
Well, now it's just so dramatically different. The contrast is insane.
Yeah. Well, but that in San Francisco, they are like micro weathers kind of thing. You couldn't compare the sunset with the mission.
It's true. Alexa disappoints me every day. She tells me with what temperature I walked out. It is not that temperature.
Yeah. But what did we watch today?
This was my pick, and I am an Almodóvar super fan. You're welcome for introducing him to you. It's a joke. He's from Spain.
It doesn't matter. Damage is done.
So, I chose Parallel Mothers. I mean, we chose it. We had talked about watching it. It just happened to be, quote unquote, my turn. So I actually just finished watching this movie about an hour and a half ago.
Okay. Yeah, I went to watch it last week, and I went to watch it with my boyfriend. He's Mexican, and I went to watch it with an American friend. And it was interesting. And it was like the perfect setup because it's like, this is a curious movie, It's like I think that most.
I have to admit that I wished we had seen it together, and I could have just asked you questions nonstop about Spain's history and like cultural importance of things. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, but as this was your pick, and we just mentioned that it is because we really like Almodóvar, that we wanted to just talk about it as soon as possible. But this is my turn for summarizing. This movie falls. There are like 2 parallel stories on this. One of them is on the background for most of the movie, and the other one is like the centerpiece. Let's say like the centerpiece of the story is actually this woman that hookups with a guy, or he's dating a guy that he's married, and then she gets pregnant, and she goes to just give birth after. And I'm going to be like chronologically ordering it. I'm not going to be like doing the movie. It actually just jumps back and forth. Basically breaks up with the guy because the guy is still married, and he even suggests about like just maybe an abortion. She decides to be a single mother, as her grandmother was before, and her mother too, but her mother died young, and then her grandmother raised her. So she met a really young girl on the hospital while they are like waiting for giving birth, and they give birth at the same time, like the same day, more or less like the same hour, and they room. In this, well, yeah, I mean, they go to a different ER room, probably a delivery room, but they are like just waiting in the same room. Were you doing something?
No. I that makes more sense. I didn't honestly. I thought they were in the same room together, but what you're saying, I was like, oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah, they take you somewhere else. He's like, okay, I mean, Spain.
Showing them pushing, and in my mind they were just next to each other. That's why I had that look on my face. Thank you.
No worries. But after coming back home, and she actually shows up the baby to her now ex, is that the ex is like pretty blatant about like, that's not my baby. That's not my baby at all. Yeah, in a very like just like, I was coming here with all the hopes. I wanted to reconnect. I wanted to be a father for her. Blah blah blah. And it's like, but after looking at her, are you sure that I'm the father? So that actually just starts the doubts on Penelope. That is like the main character in Penelope's head, and she runs a test and discovers that she was not the mother. 100% sure not the mother. That they do like the zoom, like dramatic zoom over the words. 100% not the mother. And then
I like how they stop subtitling it at some point. They're like, you know what this is saying.
There's 100%, and it says no. You can just picture it. So then on the other side, like this young girl had like a beautiful baby. She's like struggling with her family. The mother, what was the name? Angela Barranco, like the actress that she has been in other movies from Almodóvar, and she's an actress that she has like very little motherhood instinct. Basically abandons her on her rich house of Madrid, and she basically just goes touring for just like doing Doña Inés. I think that it was like a Garcia Lorca. I think like
Doña something.
Yeah, I think there was like Doña Inés. But in case, not too relevant. But she's like, just my career is taking off, so screw my daughter. Well, in a bit more, it's like I really want to be here, but I have to choose this. So fast forward, like some months later, Penelope Cruz runs into the other girl, and she tells her that her baby died. And he shows her like a picture, and we see that it's like, hey, this one actually really looks like, like you and your husband, well, and your boyfriend. And the other was clearly Asian.
Yeah, very, very dark.
Yeah, and like the eyes was like, yeah, probably this is Asian. And
Cruz never met her dad, so there's a little bit of like doubt. Like, is this?
Yeah, but it's a bit of a stretch because like, yeah, my father was Venezuelan, and they always call it like the. Did they say like the Chinese, El Chino or something? There was like he was like a bit of a, like the face. It was a bit more like Asian or something.
Yeah, almond eyes and.
Yeah.
They didn't in the subtitles. They didn't say Chinese, but they were definitely saying ethnic features.
Yeah, exactly, ethnic features. But basically, at that point, she realizes about like there may be something here. So she hires her because this is an Almodóvar movie, and things are not going to be like as straightforward as you would expect. Is they Penelope Cruz hires the other girl for just being like an au pair or like I don't know how you call it, like a nanny. Yeah, like living in nanny, because the daughter. Her daughter died in the sleep, sudden death. The baby didn't wake up. So in a very not so sneaky way, he runs a test, another genetic test, and she discovered that with a 99.999% this other girl that I don't remember how it's called is the mother of her baby. At the same time, they start like getting a bit closer. They get into a lesbian relationship. Then at the end, she actually feels guilty and tells her about like, you are the mother of my baby. Our babies were exchanged at birth, and my baby died. And with a move that probably would define like the loss of kidnapping, she basically just storms out of the house with the baby. And Penelope Cruz is like, I get it. This is what needs to happen.
I kept waiting for law enforcement to get involved or like a lawsuit against that hospital, but it was all just very, very
amicable.
I need a few days.
Yeah, I need to calm down, but it's your baby, so let's just go with it. Then they actually start talking, and then it's like when the other parallel story comes back. There is like at the beginning of the movie, Penelope Cruz connects, sees a professional photographer for a magazine that is driven by Rosie De Palma, that is managed by Rosie De Palma. Yeah, that is like her best friend. She connects with an anthropologist that specializes on the historical memory of all the how's it called in English, like the pits that they did, like the massive the mass graves that the Frankists, like the National Front at the beginning of the Civil War, that they actually had in many villages that they did with like the dissidents from the regime. So
but he's not just an anthropologist, he's the father.
Well, what I mean is like this is how it starts, how they actually meet up, because Penélope Cruz actually is like from a small village where many people, including her father, she never met her father, but it's like her grandfather was in. The father was like way too young. It's like the parents actually were born after the Civil War, but her grandfather was supposed to be buried. So she really wanted for like getting some investment, some external investment for just promoting, or like being able to have money for actually just digging those corpses, or like the remains, and just bringing some kind of closure to the victims' families,
and being able to bury them with their families.
Yeah. And then fast forward 90 minutes, because barely this. I mean, they start having this, how they connect with each other, and they start having an affair. Then the baby comes. No, but it's like we park this. They mention it as several, like small times, like pretty briefly, and then at the end, after she gives up the baby, we see her like just receiving the news that they're going to be like doing the digging, because they have like a lot of time, a lot of waiting time for approvals. They tell them at the beginning that this is going to take years until it gets approved. When it gets approved and they get like money for just driving the operation, the digging operation, they go back to the village where Rosie De Palma also is from, and they connect like with the local people about like, what do you remember about like your grandparent or whatever it was, or your granduncle or whatever, and then we see how it comes to fruition, and we see like the remains like being unraveled, and we also hear that Penélope Cruz is pregnant again, because now the initial lover, got a divorce, and they got back together.
Despite her being like 42 at that time?
Why not? Why not? Doesn't matter. When there is love.
She really wanted to keep the original kid was that she's like, I didn't think I was going to be able to get pregnant. I'm almost 40. And then, anyway, yes. That felt a little bit too full circle for me. That little part. Yes. Very well done at giving a synopsis of this, because there's a lot that happens. There is a lot,
but it's like I could summarize in like there's two stories. One of them is like exchange babies with the Almodóvar spin. The things are never going to be like as straightforward as you expect. Is that the characters don't really. The one thing that I actually like about this movie is that there is no real antagonist. It's a bit more, it's like, yep, life happens, life sucks. It's like something that I like from Almodóvar's films, and I never realized about it. There is like, all about my mother is that there is no evil. It's just life, and it sucks. There is such a huge tragedy, and that's it. But for example, I talk with her. There is a bit of a rapiness going in there, that you can say is like, this is bad. If you remember,
Anna's the way Anna conceived.
Yeah. There is like bad stuff, but in this case it's a bit more like, no, there is no evil. But I felt, and I'm going to start like just talking about like how I felt about this movie. I felt confused about these two movies stitched together, like these two topics.
Yeah, I kept waiting for him to kind of bring them together in a more straightforward way, and it just never really happened. It was a little bit confusing. It reminded me of like, do you know the documentarian Errol Morris? He did The Thin Blue Line. What he likes to do in his documentaries is find two completely separate subjects or themes, and then he finds a way that they cross paths, and it's really interesting. And so I kept kind of waiting for that, like, okay, we have these two separate stories, but really all that happened was at the very end, when they dig up the skeletal remains, it's just like the former lesbian lover, the new husband or the new partner, everyone seems to be, it's not happy because they're looking at their dead loved ones, but it's like they made peace among each other. It did feel disjointed to me in a sense.
No, for me it was like just, I wish that they had done like 2 different movies, you know, and one of them was like exchanging the babies, and don't make it about like the historical memory, you know, that it was like just a law that it was created in Spain like during the 2000s, if I remember, that it was about like giving money for actually just like bringing closure to all the tragedies that they happened because of the Civil War.
So I wanted to ask you if there was like political context, like it's about so is it Anna or Anna? Anna. So Anna comes from a very wealthy, privileged family. At least it seemed they clearly have money. And Penelope Cruz actually lectures her once about talking about the grave and how she's obsessed with it. And she's like, you need to find out where your family was during the Civil War because you don't know your own country. So I was like, is this about like classes taking from other class? I don't know. I'm just asking because I don't know enough about Spanish history. I was just looking for the metaphor that I think Almodóvar put there and I just missed.
I mean, the thing is like for me it felt like a gratuitous comment, you know. It's like I'm left-wing, and there is actually, I'm going to like mention something, is like actually what band did you fight for? It was mostly based on where you geographically were, and if you want to survive or not, or you want to get shot and just end up in one of these like mass graves.
But the reason I thought there might be a little bit more is because when Anna's mother, Teresa, comes to visit Penelope Cruz, I can't remember Penelope's name.
Janis, like Janis Joplin.
Janis, that's right, Janis Joplin. And she said, like, the acting world is hard when you're rich and conservative because they're all like liberal poor people. And I was like, was she saying that basically she was on like the dictator side of the Civil War?
Probably.
These are all just questions. I don't know.
Probably yes. But the thing is that there is not too much. There is privilege, you know, like probably what they talk about. Like she can have like a great life, blah blah blah. But it's like Janis doesn't have like a poor life. Janis has like an amazing Madrid apartment, you know, that everyone compliments that they go there. She has like enough room for actually just having, you know, like a moving nanny, and she also had like the money for actually just having a maid on top of that.
Yeah, I was also struggling, like clearly she's what I would call upper class, or at least upper middle class. And I was like, but isn't there, what, where's the metaphor?
That's the thing, is that for me it feels like a bit gratuitous about like, okay, you want to get preachy, if you want to get a bit more like, hey, I want to make like a moral piece here, you need to get your characters right. And here there is none, because if you actually remove like the comment from Anna, I wouldn't take like she's like super privileged and she's abusing out of that, you know.
So I did read in the New York Times movie review about how it's kind of a big deal that like apparently, according to this one article by A.O. Scott, that he has actively avoided addressing the violent political history of Spain in all of his works. And so the fact that he's addressing it now is kind of a big deal, but I don't really have the context for what that means and why it's important. I mean, he likes to tell stories about female relationships that doesn't have a lot to do with war, and you're not obligated to address.
Yeah, I mean, there is like a lot of female characters, like strong female characters. There is like a lot of gay characters, you know. There is some transsexuals, you know, that he's always on the fringe of society. He's always like just like, hey, I don't want to go like fully mainstream. Is like we already know how he thinks, you know. So I don't really see the value of trying to politicize. Even if I agree with him, you know, about like how he looks at the historical memory, it's like this is not the leitmotif of your movie. You know, this is like something that is just attached, that is almost just growth something. You had another script, is like, do we have a way of making this like a full movie? It's like, no, maybe I can just shoehorn it a bit here, because the closure that they get is like, what is the point? We just change babies. What is the point with society that you're trying to paint here?
Let me ask you this. So I lived in Russia for a couple of years, and there are no old men in Russia.
Okay.
When I was there, and it was like 18 years ago, so take that into account. But there's just no old men because they all died in World War II, which means that women have these like very strong bonds, and like all the old women hang out with old women because there's no old men. And so I'm just grasping at straws here, but was that the point? Like that the dictatorship killed all the men so the women were forced to, not forced, but they created these bonds, a super strong bond. Apologies for my dogs. So yeah, again, this is just me trying to like make sense of what, are two separate movies. And while I found it all interesting, I feel like this would have been stronger if they had just told the story about Penelope and Anna.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, it's like when we were done with the movie, it's like I was just wondering about like what are the people that I just watched the movie with think about this? Because for someone that didn't know anything about history of Spain, is that this is like, and it's not only about like history, because you may know about like these mass graves. You may know about that. You may know about like the Civil War, but you may not know about like the recent politics in the last 20 years that it started this, like this historical memory thing.
Yeah, there was clearly a ton I missed in terms of everything you're mentioning. And what little I know beyond Franco is because of you and just all the conversations we've had in the last 2 years.
And this connects to another thing that I always told you about, that it almost feels like Almodóvar, like trying to do like a reality check about his cinema, about like why people in the States like his cinema so much when he tries, I mean, it's not really like cinema verite, but he tries to be like a bit more like costume-based, a bit more like day-by-day absurdities of the Spanish reality. There are like many things that they don't really translate to the States' way of life.
Well, case in point, Voltaire.
Okay. I thought that you were going to say like Voltaire is like a very American story.
No. You explained some of like the cultural meanings behind certain, like, I don't know, myths, legends, beliefs, whatever. I just completely.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like I don't get it, but people like it so much. I don't know if it's a bit more of a hipster thing about like, it's super cool.
I have to say it was a little, I wouldn't say nervous, but if you remember our conversation about Pain and Glory, which we did a podcast about, right?
No, we didn't.
We didn't? Okay, so I told you, I don't know if you remember, but it's my favorite Almodóvar film.
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit nervous to like go into this and just not like it as much. And I was thinking like, why didn't I connect with this film as much as the other one? And it's because, as I recall, and it's been years, Pain and Glory is just about being there's not a ton that's specific to Spanish culture, in my opinion, or at least I managed to get a lot out of it without understanding a lot about Spanish culture. Whereas this, there's so many references to things that happened in the country in history, things that are happening today. It didn't land completely with me.
And I don't have any kind of problem on him doing like more politically charged movies. I think that is fine. I think that is great if he wants to become at this age like a bit more of an activist instead of an entertainer. I'm down for it. But just have a narrative, have a justification for what you're trying to portray here.
He wrote this, right? He writes everything he directs.
Yeah, he writes everything. He only did a couple of adaptations. Julieta was an adaptation, for example. And The Skin I Live In. The Skin I Live In.
The Skin I Live In. Such a good movie. I mean, I think Broken Embraces is my favorite. And then The Skin.
I remember like going to watch like the Broken Embraces and just being in shock about how bad it was. About like, wait, you just did Voltaire. It's like, why is Penelope Cruz so bad in this movie?
I don't know if I've told this on the podcast, but I took my brand new, like, alpha stepdad, like athlete, It was the first time he and I had ever hung out. Just
And we're not talking about your husband. No, we're talking about like it is not like a gay fantasy. Okay.
My ex-stepdad.
Okay.
No
Okay.
longer married. I took him to see this in a theater or see it Broken Embraces, and I was like, maybe not the best first impression.
That's not a good pick, man.
I swear I don't have a foot fetish of Penelope Cruz. I swear.
But what I was saying earlier is like, I think that this is a bit of a reality check about like you guys really like my cinema. Can you get this? How do you feel about this? And it's interesting because you know that most countries they decide what movie to send to the Oscars.
I was wondering, is this going to be it?
No, it's not.
No.
I went to. It's the Good Boss with Javier Bardem. It's from the director of Los Lunes al Sol, like the Mondays Under the Sun, that we actually watch and record the podcast for.
That was like one of our first ones.
Yep, it was like pretty early. It's from the same director. It's not too good. It's not too bad either. It's a bit more like run of the mill. It could be French. Let's just leave it at that. It could be like a French dark comedy. So maybe you like it. It could actually reminded me a bit of what is the name of Julia Vinos? Not Julia Vinos. Catherine Deneuve comedy with Gerard Depardieu, where it's like she's like the flower pot kind of wife until he goes to jail or something, and she has to take over like the umbrella making company.
I have not seen this film, I guarantee you.
This is not the same type of film, but it's like when I was watching, it's like this could be a French movie from 30 years ago.
All right. Well, I mean, that shows that not even like the Spain film associations, whoever decides who to like nominate for the Academy Awards, they're like, no, this isn't going to resonate with American audience.
No, the only way that it could actually resonate is because of the name, because it's Almodóvar and people just expect like something amazing. But Pain and Glory, I think that this is like walls ahead of this one.
I agree with you. That being said, like just immersing yourself into the world that Almodóvar built, it still felt like coming home. Like his style is so, I don't know, I just love it. Even the camera movements, like there's this tracking shot right when we meet Arturo, the anthropologist, and Penelope Cruz, where she says, hey, I'd like to speak with you after the shoot, and it just moves along all these people until it like stops and they're getting coffee, and I'm like, I'm home with Pedro.
One thing that I love about Almodóvar as a director is how anal he is about like the setup of the houses. And we discussed this with Women at the Birth of a Nervous Breakdown. That is like everything is cooler than their characters. You know, it's a bit more like, yeah, this may be your house because everything is like just designed with the idea of this is your house and trying to build your personality, not talking at the camera about like, not like the character saying it's like, hey, look, I love X and Y. It's a bit more like, I'm going to be displaying like what a full cool character would have at their place.
And I was actually paying a lot of attention to those details, like the bookshelves behind Penelope Cruz's computer. They were like the coolest books ever. And then like the decorations on her fridge were super fucking cool. And I was like,
yeah. I mean, the thing that I felt like, look, you're a poser, is that she actually has like at some point like the Janis Joplin vinyl on the first, you know, like on the first one that you can see it on the side, and then like another scene like towards like the late part of the movie, like months later, is still like the first vinyl, and it's like there are like many more behind, but it's like this is the important one. This is like the one that I saw. It's like you didn't touch those vinyls in all these months, so stop fucking pretending you're a hipster. That's the part that I felt like, look, I love that you do this kind of indirect character building. I love it. But at the same time, it feels a bit fake. You know, it feels like not 100% sincere. It feels like too cool to be true.
I see what you're saying, but I feel like our complaints about Wes Anderson, like it's just Almodóvar has style.
I was going to say like the only director that I could compare about like being so anal about like the display of things, about like just the minimum detail, is Wes Anderson.
But Almodóvar does it like a million times better, in my opinion.
I disagree. I'm sorry, I disagree. Albeit like his love for just the quirky, symmetric shots and everything is that he's extremely careful, and things that they're like displayed there. If you remember about like Bottle Rocket, that we discussed about this, is like the zenithal, like up, top down shots with the table and the lights. Is like there were so many objects on every single one of those shots that they were like just organically placed, but at the same time feeling like so carefully. That is like this is uncannily perfect.
So I do want to say that I would count Bottle Rocket as the exception, not the rule, because my mind immediately went to the Grand Budapest Hotel, which, fuck you, let's watch it over.
The problem with the Grand Budapest Hotel and, you know, like and the Fresh Dispatch is that he became too much. He just jumped like some kind of line, like threshold into, okay, now you are like 100% a caricature. It's like, and it's true that it's like, it's a bit of his style. If you even like think about Moonrise Kingdom, is that everything is slightly exaggerated, you know, and he embraces like things are quirky, and I don't mind, you know, like hiding that this is fake. The thing is, like, Almodóvar tries to make it look like it's real, and those houses, they just look from a catalog. They don't feel like she really lives there, and they're like very carefully, you know, like style. Like, for example, there is a point that is like you see like the jamón, you know, and the next time that they saw it, like months later, you can actually see that the jamón is like way lower, that they have been eating it like quite a bit.
I will say that I felt once. So Janice has a family home she inherited in her village, and once they got there, it did feel just so much more authentic to me, because it was a little bit more bare bones with like family pictures and.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if I hadn't lived in Madrid, I would say it's like maybe that's how people in Madrid live like, you know, it's like maybe they are all like that, like super cool, super like detail oriented. Dude, I live in Madrid. Is that people are the same. It's a fucking dirty city. Is that you're going to find like people that they're like pretty cool or whatever, and they're going to be like other people that they're like more bare bones. But everything feels like you live there. In here, it feels like you look cool. You don't live here.
It's like every TV show and movie taking place in San Francisco lately, and you're like, no, this isn't San Francisco.
If there are no human faces, it's not San Francisco.
No, nobody dresses up. It's just athleisure wear.
Yeah, so I like it, and at the same time, I feel it like a bit fake, but I like it, you know, at the end of the day. But it's like it feels like the same way as Wes Anderson about like you don't mind hiding, you don't mind showing that this is fake. You want to show us that you can do like something cool.
I guess for me the distinction is I don't want to go into Wes Anderson's worlds anymore. Like, it's uninteresting to me. Almodóvar is still interesting to me. I didn't bother to see his most recent film. We agreed that we weren't going to see it because it looks pretty.
Oh no, I watch it. I went to watch it.
Oh, I think you told me to skip it.
I told you to skip it. It's not a good movie. So what I told you is like he has become like 100% a caricature of himself. I don't think that Almodóvar has become a caricature of himself yet.
But I don't even think he's moved. Like, if he was going to become a caricature of himself, he would, like, instead of swinging away from All About My Mother, he would have leaned into it and just like gone crazy.
But the thing is, like, I was thinking about All About My Mother, and I was thinking, okay, the house that they have in Madrid at the beginning of the movie feels more real, feels more organic. And then when she moves to Barcelona, is that she has nothing in the house. It's like an empty house that is like, dude, this woman that just left her work is not going to be able to afford this when she's like just working as a non-profit worker.
So then, outside of like sets, what do you think about the characters? Because in my opinion, the characters feel more real now.
Yes and no. The thing is that there was an exercise on ellipses on this movie. Is that there are like many times that it feels like you're like just jumping, like just removing everything that it will make things feel like more organic, you know? Didn't you have like that kind of feeling about like they're like jumps that is like, okay, I see that you are like just giving me what I need to know, but it's like at the same time is that you are removing like part of the dream that used to make it like interesting to watch your movies, that it felt like more organic.
Yeah, I would say, particularly with the baby switching storyline, like 12 hours ago, Anna found out that Cecilia is hers, and she just calls the next day very calm. She's like, let's talk about our relationship. There were some disjointed moments where you're like, this isn't
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense from a realistic emotional journey perspective.
Yeah. So I just felt like the script is not the best. It's a bit like rushing in some points. It's mixing like the other story. It just felt. I used to discuss with my sister that she used to say that like, there is always like a good Almodóvar movie followed by one or more bad movies from him.
So next we could have either one, good or bad.
Yeah, because Pain and Glory was the good, and it's like now we don't know how many bad we're going to get.
Well, the Tilda Swinton one, we should count that. That was a good one.
But it was a short. The next one is like the Kate Blanchett one.
Ooh, that's rough.
And that can go either way, because this is like a full movie. The Tilda Swinton thing, it was like an exercise, an aesthetic exercise, and it was gorgeous. He was like go full minimalistic, just like retelling like the human voice story that he already told in Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. And the next thing that also is going to happen, there is going to be a TV show for Apple TV based on Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Really? And
Yep.
he's directing all of it? Writing?
No,
Directing?
he's just executive producer.
Oh,
El Deseo is going to be like the producer. I am terrified about like what piece of shit that's going to be.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for that. But just before we started recording, we were saying we're generally impressed with the quality of content on Apple TV.
The production value. I would say the production value, not the quality of the end result. It's like HBO nowadays. Is that with HBO, you know that they're going to be like putting a lot of money and just say like, this is well produced. It's not like Netflix. That is like, if we can produce like 10 city produced shows in a month, better than just one that is like properly produced.
Well, I mean, at least his name is attached in some way. Hopefully he has some sort of input.
Let's see. My hopes are pretty low. Let's just say that.
When does it come out, do you know?
I think that it just entered like production, so it maybe still like 2023.
All right. Well, put that on our to be watched list.
No. With Gina Rodriguez.
Is it in Spanish? Please tell me it's in Spanish.
No, I don't think so. She's from Chicago, so
Oh.
that Gina Rodriguez, I don't know.
It's gonna be like all the boys in the band.
Oh, no. I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe he's like just trying to penetrate more and more the American market, But the thing is, like, it's at this point. It's like he had done it like in the 90s or in the 2000s. I could get it when he was like exploding in popularity. At this point, it's like, dude, you are 100% Spanish. It's like whatever you're going to be doing is going to have such a weird translation.
Because of the TV show, you think that way? Because I thought you felt
No,
like
because Tilda Swinton and Kate Blanchett. Because the Kate Blanchett movie is going to be like 100% American.
Got it. Okay.
So it's like I just had the feeling it's like I don't know, it's a bit late for this, in your career, right?
I mean, Haneke didn't do an English-speaking film until he was like 70.
There was the Funny Games remake.
Yep.
Did he do any other after that?
No, I think all the rest were firmly in French. He didn't even do like Austrian and German.
The White Ribbon?
I think that was the last one because the last two were with
Isabel Huppert.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Cassé was
And the one
Austrian.
about the like immigration issues with the wealthy family. I don't think you ended up seeing that one.
Oh, the happy ending?
Yes.
No, I didn't watch that one. You told me about it. God, the guy is still alive. He's
And more.
Yeah, Maurice is French. He's pretty French. Cassé was good. Cassé was a really good movie.
Did you ever see 73 Fragments of a Chronology of Chance?
No, I don't think so. We discussed about that one.
I'd be interested to rewatch that movie. I liked it when it came out, but now it seems like that was during a time in my life where I liked really dense stuff that wasn't interesting.
I mean, to be frank, after the Funny Games movie, after the American one, because I say movie, not film, there were only 3 movies. That it was The White Ribbon, Amor, and Happy End. And one of them is Austrian.
There was another one. I don't know what it is.
No, after the original Funny Games, that it was like 10 years. Before that, it was God Unknown, The Piano Teacher, Time of the Wolf, Cassette, and then Funny Games.
Oh, The Piano Teacher is so good. It's
so fucking disturbing. But just going back to the movie, it's like or to Almodóvar, it's like I still think that he can do like pretty cool stuff. Pain and Glory was like a good self-reflection, you know. But this one just left me like, sure.
Did you find it entertaining?
I found like parts of it entertaining. As I was still using the ellipsis part, it just threw me off completely. About like, why are you doing this? Is it why are you like cutting from the characters? It's like you should actually be using those characters. They just developing them a bit more, not as a vehicle of your story, and just like as living entities. And I just feel that this is not properly written. You know, it was entertaining from the perspective of like, when is he going to be like telling her that, you know, the baby is hers? But beyond that, I didn't feel like super engaged or anything. I also have to be like
entertaining. I didn't look at my watch once. I was like, I'm just enjoying this ride.
The thing is also that I already knew that it was going to be disjointed. My sister actually told me that it's like this is weird. People here are saying, it's like, why is this politics? Why they're like politics in this kind of shoehorned way here?
I'm glad that I didn't miss what I assumed I missed, which was some sort of political, cultural context that left me kind of outside.
Yeah. So, should we go over the questions?
Let's do it. I do just want to comment that I was blown away by Penelope Cruz. Better even than Vicky Cristina Barcelona. She was incredible.
Ooh, that's her, man. That's a really hard sell.
No, but she was really, really good. I just like, wow.
No, she's an amazing actress. You know, she actually knows what to do, because I think that her baseline is pretty bland. It's a bit more like if she has like the right directing, is that she can actually shine. You know, Volver is amazing. All About My Mother is start to be okay, but it's like when I saw in Volver, it's like this is not the bland Penelope Cruz that I was expecting. You know.
Okay, so now I'm ready for the questions.
Yeah. So also I have like a bit of a one-off thing, but I'm going to be like presenting it to you a bit later after we go over the questions. Okay. So first question out of all of these, would you watch it again?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. For me, it's no.
Even so, actually, my husband wanted to see this movie with me this weekend, and he just got it. It doesn't matter. We didn't see it together, and when he said he'd go see it alone, I was like, I'd go watch it again with you.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's like I didn't find like enough entertainment here for saying like, yeah, even like if it's playing on the background, it's like, nah, probably there are like better stuff to just play on the background. Would you recommend it?
Yes.
For me, no. For me,
Really?
no, for the perspective. Well, because it's a confusing movie. It's a bit more, it's like, hey, if I recommend you this, I have to explain you everything about like the Spanish history of the last 80 years. And then it's like, is this like the best Almodóvar movie? On what kind of context would I actually recommend this? You know, it's like if someone were to ask me, it's like, should I watch Pedro Almodóvar? It's like, did you watch all these other 10 movies from Almodóvar? Because
What
these
if
are better.
What if somebody came to you and said, hey, I heard there's a new Almodóvar film. Would you recommend I check it out? I would answer that. It's worth it. It's more interesting than most things in theaters.
Probably not. Probably the answer could be like, I mean, it's not that it's bad, but it's like dude, there has to be like something a bit more entertaining out there.
That's fair.
Yeah. Or a bit more like consistent and congruent. Could you remember it?
I think the major plot points of the switching babies and the digging up the relatives, yes.
Yeah, I think that I could remember exactly that. There are like 2 stories. One of them is like mixing up babies, and the second story is like mass grave.
Yep. So yes, Yes.
Just is. Yeah. Also yes for me. Is there anything artistic about it?
Yes. I mean, I instantly felt like I was in Almodóvar's world, and for me, it is artistic. And there are very few directors, as we mentioned, Wes Anderson maybe one, but nobody builds worlds, in my opinion, like Almodóvar does.
Yeah. What did you think of the spoiler alert? Really well. I mean, I just talk about absolutely everything that happens in the movie. But what did you think of the last scene? Well, they actually just took like the bodies out, all the remains. Now they actually place like all the actors. No, not all the actors, like some of the actors on the mass grave.
I mean, I'm just grasping at straws. I think we were supposed to like understand what those mothers went through back in the day, losing their husbands and sons and stuff. So I was trying to like make it a little more real. It didn't land for me, but I think I got what he was trying to do.
The thing is, like, Penélope Cruz, for example, wasn't there. It was like only part of the cast, you know, and it was like a run.
Right? It was only men in the.
There were also women. What I thought is that maybe it was like a bit of a gesture of these people. They actually lost someone on those early day shootings in the Civil War.
And they recreated it.
Because they were like, imagine that these people disappear as their ancestors did from one day to the next.
I didn't get that final shot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, sure, that can be it. But yeah, I mean, John was the one my boyfriend was the one that brought it up. Is it a timeless piece?
I would say, yeah. I mean, switching babies to switching baby in any era.
That's true. It's one of
100 years. That's not changing.
Exactly. It's like one of the oldest tales that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And yeah, the other part is a bit more about like the historic memory, but I think that part, for example, I wish that there was like that this was two movies, because I would actually say like yes for both, and I would actually say like everything that about like the historical memory and about like just trying not to forget what happened, you know, is that I think that is important, and I think it's like more relevant than actually swapping babies.
Yeah, I agree. I just wish I knew more about Spain's history.
Yeah, but in any case, it's like it's timeless. That doesn't mean that it's good or important as a whole. Would you turn this into a TV show?
I think there's enough there to turn it into a TV show, and maybe they could find a way to marry the stories better. I don't know that I would watch it, but I wouldn't mind if Netflix was like, hey, we have a 10-part miniseries.
For me, the answer is no. No, because it's so disconnected that it's like it almost sounds like I could turn into two different TV shows. And I don't want to watch a TV show about historical memory, and I don't want to watch a TV show about swap babies. I don't.
But like, for instance, the Mother Teresa, I wanted to learn more about her. She was an interesting character. Like, there's more that I would have taken from this story. So yes.
But the thing is, like, underdeveloped characters, you know, that is exactly what Teresa is, or is like it doesn't get like to actually just be like fully developed or fully like important for the story. Because yeah, she has like a good conversation with Janice, you know, about like how she actually opens her heart about like the kind of mother that she was, you know, and at the end it's like a story of mothers that they lost their kids in one way or another, and it's like how she didn't want to be a mother, but she was, you know. But it's like, it's heartfelt, but at the same time it feels like, cool. Yeah. Let's move on. It's like we already have like the checkbox, so it's like, yep, open heart conversation of someone that is a bitch. It's like, yeah, I remember the phone about your mother, all about my mother. Yeah. It's like we already did this. It's like we have done it again. Let's move on.
All right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, a bit more like negative, clearly, than you. Did you think that this movie could have been better?
There just needs to be a little bit more coherence about why we're seeing these two stories. Like, yeah. Make it connect for me, and make it connect for me as a dumb American.
Yeah, even like as an intellectual Spanish, I just think that, yeah, the script needs to actually just be reworked completely. This is not a good script, and it needs love. It needs like quite a bit of attention for actually just turning it into something that is more palatable.
I would agree with that.
So
Well, I found it palatable, but yes, it needs work.
So before we actually score it, for actually just giving like a minute for it to actually just rest, so we can think about the score. My score is already written down, so please don't open the spreadsheet. I wanted to ask you something. We always ask, would you remember it? So what I was thinking is like from time to time I think about like random movies, and I try to remember about like what happens in that movie. You know, some of them are like pretty easy, like the Turing horse, that is like the answer is nothing. And some others are like way harder to actually just even like remember about like the main story points, let's say, after so long. So I was thinking about like just bringing up like a random movie from at least like 50 episodes we have, you know,
Right.
and just see if you actually remember what this movie was about.
If I answer
like
yes, I'll remember it.
if you answer yes, you have to summarize like in 1 or 2 sentences what this movie was about.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, so back from episode, let me just check what was it. Back from episode 29. Do you remember what Shortcuts was about?
That's not fair. There's like
Okay.
7
Let me just reframe it, because what popped in my mind is how it ends.
I remember that there is a plague of insects in LA, and the helicopters are like spraying the pesticides to kill them all. Also, Alex Trebek goes to the opera.
Okay. So some random stuff. Okay.
Our favorite actress takes off her pants, and we learn the carpets match the drapes.
Julia Moore.
Yep. And that's about all I got.
No, that's pretty good. I have forgotten about Julia Moore is on this, because usually my brain just blocks her. It's like that episode from Black Mirror that is that you can block someone and that person like disappears from your eyes. You know, is that they are just blocked by some noise. For me, it's exactly how my brain operates with Julia Moore. It's like she was like erased completely. Yeah, she was like erased from the movie. It's like, was there? No, there wasn't. She's the painter. Is like, there was no painter here.
So then, doesn't it all end in an earthquake, and we see all the stories and where? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
where they were at the end. That's only the part that I remember, and I remember about like Robert Downey Jr. and his friend, that they actually are about to rape a couple of kids, a couple of girls, and actually the friend kills one of the girls. But the earthquake happened, and they say that there was only one casualty.
So did I pass? That one's a challenging one because there's 40
I
seconds.
know, but it's like, I think that you do. Is that was not an easy pick, but it's like it just popped into my brain, and it's like, this is impossible to remember all that this was about.
I remember really liking it.
Yeah, no, and I actually checked like the scores. Yours was an 8.5, mine was a 7.5. So, should we actually score now Parallel Mothers?
Yes, and I think our conversation has changed my score a little bit, but you have to score first.
Yeah, my score is 6.
Mine
I think-
went from a 7 to a 6.5.
6.5. I think that is okay. Just okay. I think that they are like just severe problems, you know, that is like this movie I think sustains or supports its weight more on Penélope Cruz acting, on the set pieces, you know, like how cool it is to look at, but it doesn't leave me anything.
I can see that. Like, the more we talk about it, the more I see there's not a ton of substance here. And there is some actual confusion. Like, what the hell do these stories have to do with each other? But as I said before, I do think this is more interesting than I would say 90% of movies that we could go see, or I could go see right now in San Francisco in a movie theater.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I guess that the cinema scene sucks pretty much in San Francisco, so that's fine.
It's true. It's completely true.
I had to say that it's a weird one. You know, it's like I'm always like surprised when I think about it. Like, wait, is this all the cinemas? Am I missing something here?
No, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
This was only playing at Embarcadero and the Roxy.
Oh, the Roxy. Wow.
Yep.
Was it at least on the large room?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
The Almodóvar house, it was such an interesting cinema. I had like such a big hopes for it. And then when it opened, it's like, you're playing Marvel movies.
And the thing is, nobody gets to talk, and everyone spoke the entire screening that I went to, so I never went back.
But in any case, is that when they actually have like this quirky commercial about like, hey, don't make any noise. If someone makes noise, just tell us. Is that you guys are running left and right the whole movie, bringing food and drinks. Is that you're the worst.
Yep, not my thing.
So yeah, this podcast doesn't sponsor the Almodóvar house.
No, we don't support them.
Yeah. Okay, man, anything else to say about Pedro Almodóvar?
Overall, I've said this like 5 different ways. I just enjoyed going back into his world, and for me, that was worth it.
And actually connecting with that on the next podcast, we're going to be like going back to another director's wall that I think that we both really like. And that one is going to be David Lynch's work with Lost Highway.
I'm so excited to do this. So excited.
I'm also like really excited because I'm going to get to use the movie that I never watched. You know, that you gave me. You know, and it's funny because I was talking with a.
Now, just so.
The what?
I feel like I should watch an Infomaniac now, so I'm watching a movie you gave me. You're watching a movie I gave you.
Don't make me hate myself. Don't make me like regret that was like one of the first gifts that I ever gave you.
You did give me All About My Mother first, so.
Oh, thank God. Okay,
yeah.
I saved the day. But yeah, it was funny because I was talking with a friend about, hey, I would like to watch anything that is like the quirkiness or the weirdness of this movie. I think that it would be like just interesting for having a good conversation. And then it was like, it has been such a long time since I watched it, and there is still like several quotes that I remember of this movie. And I only watched like probably once. Like, Dick Logan is dead.
And I'm looking forward. I feel like this film has a lot of similarities to Cachet. I might watch both just so I can comment.
It does?
I feel like it does, but it's been a long time since I've seen both. We'll see. Next week we can talk more.
You know something funny? We never recorded about Cachet.
I think we have a hard time going back into Michael Haneke's world. We love it there, but it's hard to be like, let's sign up to watch a pig get slaughtered over and over.
I mean, you don't have to watch it over and over. That is sick. I mean, you don't have to be like that. But, okay.
Don't they show it 4 times?
They saw the video, yeah. They saw the video several times. No, but that's on Benny's video, no? Benny's video is that he actually has like a video. He has a video of how they slaughter a pig. And he watched it like multiple times when he shows it to the girl and everything. So maybe we should rewatch Benny's video.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
We watched it together, dude.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's been too long since I've seen Benny's video.
You know, the funny thing is that I could remember, I think that any movie that I watched by Haneke, I mean, not like every single dialogue, but I cannot forget them. Is that they're stuck in my brain. Is that they are so traumatic. It's like it's hard to actually remove them.
Yep. No, I completely agree.
Okay. Yeah. So, Lost Highway. If you want to watch Cachet, we can just leave it as a bonus point kind of thing. Lost Highway.
Deal. Can't wait.
Yeah, and to everyone out there, thank you so much for putting it up with us. I think this has been a pretty long episode.
It has. Wash your hands.
Yeah, you have enough time now. Bye.